Tony Fox? Today we are going to be going through this Pokemon Presents. I'm just going to be skimming through it, giving my general thoughts on everything. And I also did a bingo card here. I'm going to go ahead and go over this first. We obviously got Masters EX. Champions, we got a release window for that too. Filler, just some sections took a little too long. Like, I don't think they need to take any more than a minute on the Worlds announcements. That's just my opinion. Maybe some of you disagree, but that's what I think. That's why I marked filler. And the reason I marked that's it is because I feel like the final trailer ended sort of abruptly. That could just be me though. And then obviously they showed TCG Pocket, so that's a bingo. And then Pokemon Sleep, Free Space. My Free Space's fans complain. There are surprisingly few complaints about Gen 10, but there is still people complaining in the form of the Fire and Leaf Green stuff that was going on a ridiculous amount last week. And merch was that thing in the beginning with the Game Boy stuff, and then TCG, they showed some 30th anniversary TCG stuff too. And then Pokopia, pretty obvious, they showed some new stuff on that game. We got the Gen 10 starters, I'm going to give my thoughts on those in a second. A new Mega, the Mega Garchomp Z, and then Pokemon Go is pretty obvious. They showed less about that game than I thought they would. But it was still there, so it counts. And Cafe Mix and Unite are also pretty obvious. That seems to be all my bingos, so now let's just go over the other spaces. CA Home Support. This space was specifically for them giving us a release date or window about it, and I don't think they did. Maybe they gave a release window, I don't remember, but either way, it wasn't definitive enough for me to want to mark this space. And even if I marked it, it would have given me a bingo regardless, so who cares? And then no new spin-offs, not even more mobile slop. We just got nothing that we didn't already know about, except Gen 10, which obviously isn't a spin-off. And we did get XD, not Coliseum. No idea why they gave us XD before Coliseum. Well, there might be one reason. I'll go over that in a bit. Pokepark, I specifically put not the game this time. But we didn't get the game or Pokepark Kanto, so who cares? There was some sort of 30th anniversary video thrown in there, so I marked that space as well. And they gave us nothing on Scarlet and Violet. I mean, we can't really say these games are dead yet, since we're still at least another year out for Gen 10. But still, there was no raid or outbreak or mystery gift announcements with Scarlet and Violet. None at all. And my Paradox Pokemon prediction for Pokemon Go seemed to be wrong. And then Coliseum XD Home Support, they actually directly confirmed in the trailer that this wasn't happening. Like, there's some... I'll point it out when we skip through the presents, but there was text on the bottom saying that you can't transfer Pokemon into or out of XD. That's basically what it said. And something completely new, like I said earlier with the spin-off thing, the only thing we got that we didn't already know about was Gen 10. And that's it for my bingo board. Now back to the presents, let's go ahead and skim through this.
Hello Pokemon trainers and happy Pokemon Day. I'm Chris.
And here's Pokemon XD being put on the Switch Online thing for Switch 2. Kind of weird they're doing this before Coliseum. I mean, why would they put the sequel first? I mean, there could be a few reasons why, one of which being that between the two games, this is more similar to a mainline game than Coliseum is. And there's also the fact that there's some e-reader stuff for Coliseum, maybe they're implementing those, and that's why it's taking longer. So that's all I can really think of. And also, these games did deconfirm home compatibility. It says so right there on the bottom right there. Pokemon obtained in Gale Darkness cannot be transferred to titles, and Pokemon obtained in other titles cannot be transferred to Gale Darkness. So, that's a bit unfortunate. Not a deal breaker for me. I was going to play this anyway, but I'm sure there's some people out there who are not going to play this now because of that, which I personally don't understand, but that's just me. Let's talk about Fire and Leaf Green here, and they did confirm home compatibility, but some more small text here says that once they've been put into Pokemon Home, they cannot go back. It seems like even if you don't put them into a different game, if they go to Pokemon Home at all, they cannot go back. So it works exactly like the Virtual Console games did back on the 3DS. And also, something they didn't mention about Fire and Leaf Green in this Presents or in this reveal trailer is that the Naval Rock and Birth Island events are indeed in these games on the Switch and Switch 2, which which is nice. I'm sure all of us wanted that. It means that Deoxys is finally available in a Switch game, and they can be shiny hunted. And also, according to data miners, these versions of the games will recognize ROMs for Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, which means that more than likely we will see those ported to Switch at some point. And when they do, Fire and Leaf Green will already be able to link with them without any need for an update. So that's pretty nice. And since we got the Overwalk and Birth Island events for Fire Leaf Green here, that means that if they port over Emerald, we will indeed get those as well as the Faraway Island event to get Mew. So really hope that they port over, if not Ruby Sapphire, then at least Emerald. But all three would be ideal, because there are Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire that are not in Emerald. Here's the trailer for Mega Garchomp Z. And I have no idea why they released this DLC as early as they did. Like, back when it was coming out, we all assumed that it was because Gen 10 was in 2026, so they had to release the DLC early so nothing would overshadow anything else. But now that we know Gen 10 is coming out in 2027, why didn't they just wait? And if the Gen 10 reveal cycle is going to be anything like Legends ZA's, then we're in for an entire year of radio silence before we learn more about Gen 10. So all we're going to have to tide us over until then is re-releases of old games. Like Fire and Leaf Green we got just now, and then XE next month, probably Coliseum, Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald down the line. So I guess that's what they're giving us this year, nothing new, just ports of all the Gen 3 games. If Procopia was either a lot cheaper or not a keycard, I might have considered getting it.
You eat them.
But since it's a $70 keycard, I just personally find that outrageous and will not even consider getting this game.
First, let's play some hype.
Unless it ends up on sale somehow, which it's a Nintendo game, that's not going to happen. Yeah, they got official art. We'll have to wait a bit longer to learn how Mr. Winnetou and Miss Wavychu will be involved in the adventure. So yeah, they're in the game. It's not just a trailer thing. They're going to be in the game. Don't know how that's going to work. Maybe they'll be version-exclusive characters. Also down here it says that Brazilian Portuguese will be supported now. About time. That really should have been added in Scarlet and Violet, but better late than never. These games are once again open world. During this video, you'll team up with all kinds of Pokemon to overcome both the difficult road ahead and even the forces in nature that block your path at times. I wonder what that means. Alright, this is an open world game, so there's not going to be like roadblocks. So does that mean there's like optional areas that you need certain ride Pokemon to get to? Perhaps? I don't know. Anyway, that's all the website seems to say, so let's move on back to the actual trailer here. Here it is. Gen 10. With actually good graphics. I think I said something similar for Scarlet and Violet's reveal trailer for some reason. But this game actually does, for real, have good graphics. Even people online say so. I mean, of course you got a few nitpickers talking about blurry textures, but that is just nitpicking. People who actively look for things to complain about. Also, there's two things to consider. YouTube video compression and the fact that this game's still a year out, so even if there are problems right now, they could be polished out in the future. I mean, we saw how different Legends Arceus looked from reveal to release, and that was less time than this game's gonna get. They knew what they were doing with that windmill shot. After how Scarlet and Violet was, they knew what they were doing, showing a windmill that isn't choppy. Like, it's literally the first thing they show outside of that overworld shot right there. And also, some of these returning Pokemon are pretty nice. Like, any Pokemon that hasn't appeared in the last 3 games, I think, is a very welcome addition here. Like Wailmer and Wailord there. Halo was very welcome. The only Switch game he's been in was Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, so yeah, very welcome addition here. But Letty and Ledian, just like Talo, haven't been in a Switch game outside of Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, so very welcome. Also, love this volcanic area. We didn't see anything like this in Scarlet and Violet, or any other Switch game for that matter. And Sizzlipede's back, and I love the lighting effects with Slugman and Sizzlipede here. This game looks really good, and the lighting is done really well too. Pikachu with a new pose. Finally, after like 15 years, they gave him a new pose. Got some Wingles flying. Krabby's also nice, and so is Corsola. Hasn't been seen since Sword and Shield, so very welcome here. That means we'll see Galarian Corsola and Cursula at the very least transferable later on. But they could also be included in DLC like we saw with Regional Forms in Scarlet and Violet. Timpole's back. That's nice to see. Hasn't been in a game since Sword and Shield. Also, Pretty good looking swamp area. There have been swamp areas in Pokemon before, but none of them looked good graphically. This one does though. More shots of the fire area, which is nice. Love to see it. And here are the starters. And from the start, I had a clear favorite here, and it is the fire starter. The other two, they're not bad designs, but they just don't compare to the fire doggo. I can't believe I just said doggo. I said it ironically. Anyway, Grout, Pombon, I'm very much Team Pombon, and Gekwa. Now as for these starters, obviously Grout isn't our first grass bird, and Gekwa isn't our first water lizard. So I wonder how they're going to turn out compared to Decidueye and Inteleon. I mean, Decidueye's a pretty high bar. It's one of the best starters in my opinion. But Inteleon's one of the worst, so just gotta hope Gekwa doesn't turn anything like that. Underwater exploration for the first time since the only time in Gen 3. That's pretty cool. And there's also Frillish down here. Frillish hasn't been in the game in a while either. Dynamo's been in everything. Like Dynamo, it's got a bit of a weird history. Like, it debuted in Gen 5, obviously. Then it was Electric was catchable in Omega Ruby Sapphire. But then afterwards, it wasn't in a game again until Scarlet and Violet. But ever since, it's just been in everything. It was in Scarlet and Violet. It was in both DLC Pokedexes. Then it was in ZA, and now it's back in Winds and Waves. They just love Dynamo now, apparently. Which I'm not complaining. Electros is a really good Pokemon. And that's the end. We just get the logos, and then the trailer just kind of ends after that. Some people probably expected them to show the legendaries after this. I didn't, because the only reveal trailer I can think of that showed the legendaries alongside it was X and Y. Like, Sun and Moon's reveal trailer only had logos, so that one definitely didn't show the legendaries. And then Sword and Shields didn't show the legendaries either. And of course, neither did Scarlet and Violet. Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet's reveal trailers were kind of similar to this, in that they just showed some shots of the world, and the starters, and the logos. That was it. That seems to be how all these reveal trailers go. And yeah, 2027, that's very surprising. We're going to get Winds and Waves in the year of Robo Ebola and Chef Hats. I was very much convinced that this game was going to launch November of this year. So seeing that it releases in 2027 was the biggest surprise of the Presents by far. But again, like I said earlier, this probably means we're in for a year of radio silence, which I am not looking forward to. I hated that for ZA. But you know, unless they just learn from their mistakes marketing that game, or if this releases in early 2027, then yeah, we're not going to see this game again for a while. Anyway, as for which one I'm going to pick, I honestly don't know yet. Kind of leaning towards Waves because of the blue, but I could go either way. I guess it all depends on the version exclusives, especially the box art legendaries. So we'll have to wait to see that. Probably a year. But either way, these games look good, and really the only Switch 2 exclusive I'm looking forward to so far. So bit of a shame that I gotta wait this long for it. But then again, Game Freak taking more time on their games is always a good thing. After how Scarlet and Violet turned out, we do not need another one of those. So they need to take as much time as they need to make sure the game not only looks, but also runs and plays well. So, again, bit of a bummer that we have to wait, but it'll be worth the wait, or at least hopefully it will. We'll have to see when we learn more about this game later. But anyways, that's about it. And I'll see you all in the next video, whatever that may be. Definitely not going to be about this game, because, again, we're not seeing it anytime soon. We're not seeing any info anytime soon. But, yeah, that's it for now. And I'll see you all later.
They stole our kids. I mean, who does that? Have you ever stolen anyone's children? Huh? Have you? I mean, you look like you would.